Alright, have you thought about buying an RV GPS? This is going to be a great episode. I'm Chris with Camp More Barkless, and I got a special guest today, and it's Todd with two beards and a babe. And this is pretty cool. We own the Mcnally RV GPS, and he owns the Garmin version. It's a trucker's GPS, but a lot of RVers use the trucker GPS because the rigs are so long. So let's compare these. Okay, so the first one is the Mcnally, the RVND7. Now Todd's from Two Beards. His is the Garmin, the trucker edition, but it's the 780LMT-S. Get these things out of the boxes and see what the differences are. The first thing that we notice right off the bat by putting them side by side is the thickness. This one here, you can see it's only about a ½ inch thick, and then that is almost 3/4 to 1 inch thick. Now this is the Garmin, this is the Mcnally. Alright, if we put them one on top of another, they're almost identical in size. Call them both the 7-inch. I've used this one exclusively. And Todd, how much experience have you had with your Garmin?
So I have used this for about a week now. The only other device I've used is my phone.
Now on your phone, what did you use on your phone? Like Google Maps or something?
We've tried several different things, whether it be Google Maps, whether it be Waze, just any type of plotting out there. But our concern is, because our rig is 13 foot 6 inches tall, we weren't sure that any of the other GPS systems on our phones actually calculates the height. They'll just give you the quickest directions or on a highway. And, there's a lot of places that we go that we're just not sure if the bridges are going to be tall enough for this big rig.
There's videos out there, people shearing off all their air conditioner and stuff off the roof. Yeah, so that's the one thing about the RV GPS and the truck GPS. It asks you for your width, your height, and your length, and it's supposed to keep you off of roads that you cannot physically go on. Whereas like Google Maps and stuff doesn't care how tall you are, how wide you are, or how long you are. It's just going point A to point B, the fastest, easiest route, and it assumes you're in a car. Let's go ahead and get these things booted up. We'll see how long they take to acquire a satellite, because that's important when you're getting ready to leave a campground. You're like, which way do I go? After that, we'll go through the menu and show you where you set all the parameters to your vehicle. So what I'm going to do is push the power button simultaneously on both of them, and we're going to see which one boots up the fastest and acquires the satellite and knows its location. So here we go. I think I got it. Oh, is yours in sleep mode?
It's already up.
Right, there it goes. Yours knows exactly where we're at already?
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's a little bit faster of a boot up than the Mcnally by quite a bit. Was that just in sleep mode or something, or was it?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's sleep mode or off, but in either case, that's how fast it is.
Yeah, because it asks you for accept the warning and everything.
Yep, so there's yours.
Let me set my warning. Mine's still looking for GPS. I still have no GPS signal. Well, we're going to have to give that a minute, it appears. There it goes. It didn't move the screen yet, though. It says it's got a GPS lock, but I don't even know where it is. It's over someplace from last night towards the land.
So here you choose whether car or tractor, because if you choose a car, it's going to give you a different route. There we go. There's the GPS.
Yours is ready to navigate
where we're at.
It doesn't say no GPS signal, but it's not finding our current location. See if that jars its memory.
Almost. Okay.
It doesn't have our Even though it's saying that it's got GPS signal, we're not in the right location. That's incredible.
Yeah, this one we'll go to sleep if we're not going to use it, but instantly right there. Go back and plan my route right there.
Okay, so the Rand Mcnally is taking some difficulty to find our exact location. It just found where we are, so it took what, about 2 minutes, Todd?
Yep.
Until it actually found the correct GPS. The Garmin booted up way faster and knew right where we were almost instantly compared to the Rand Mcnally. So let's go ahead and get these things plugged in, and we'll go ahead and do some routing with them and see how they choose the routes, if there's any differences. The other thing that you'll notice is the Rand Mcnally, I did not bring the mount to it, but it's got a cradle that it snaps into. The Garmin, this part here is magnetic, and it's got all the contacts for the charger and stuff built into it. So all Todd's got to do is just pop it up, and it's magnetic, gets stuck right to its mount, and it's done. So that's pretty neat. Whereas mine has the old-fashioned USB, and it's not the micro USB, it's the one that was before that, the one that's a little bit bigger, the one that's kind of outdated. It's still using that type of charge port. Whereas if he wanted to charge this thing not in the cradle, it uses a regular micro USB. So let's go ahead and go through some of the functions on the Rand Mcnally first, and then we'll go ahead and do the Garmin second. So from the main screen here, you got 3 choices. You got RV Tools, Maps, and then you choose your destination. And if you go into RV Tools, we'll go there first. Go into RV Info, and then here's where you enter in all your stuff. How much propane bottles you have, the size of each bottle. So I only have one because we have an onboard and a Class A, 30 gallons. I'm pulling one car, so it's listed as a trailer. We're a Class A, and go down, and you get to enter all this stuff in. We're 22,000 pounds loaded without the car, just the weight of the RV. We're 56 feet long, height 13.4, width 8 foot 2 inches, and 2 axles, so we don't have a tag axle. So with all that stuff added in, this thing's supposed to be able to calculate exactly what roads we can and cannot go on. So let's back out of there. And it also has, while we're in there, maintenance and checklists and stuff like that we don't use that stuff. So you can play with it if you want it. It's got a calculator built in there. I use it strictly for routing. So we're going to go choose a destination, and then we're going to choose a new location, and then it gives you your 3 choices: address, city center, or intersection. I've never used these two because we always know exactly kind of where we're going, and I never used latitude and longitude. So let's go ahead and address. Now it's going to ask where we want to be. Right now we're in Sorrento, Florida. It knows that. I'm not sure why Deltona, Florida's down there. That must have been where it had the signal from before. Okay, so what I'm going to do is enter in the zip code to where we're going. What's the zip code for Athens?
75751.
What's the address there?
9024.
Street name?
US Highway 175.
And it's already pulled up. Now, this is one thing that the Rand Mcnally does. It gives me an option just to start the route, compare 2 different routes, or add it as a via point, or save it to address book. So what I'm going to do is compare 2 routes. I usually like to see 2 different routes to see if there's anything different. And then it gives me an option based on my preferences, which has to do with whether I want a toll road or not a toll road, off highway, on highway. And then also here it asks if I want to base it just off of toll road versus non-toll road. I'm going to keep it to my preferences and see what it comes up with. And then it's got to go through and calculate both routes. And we're not speeding the video up. I want you to see how long it takes to calculate each one of these routes, because that's an important aspect. Okay, so the blue one over here on the left represents the blue route that way, and the green one represents the green route. Both of them say no tolls, so there's no tolls on either of them. This one here is 133 miles, and this is 173 miles. This one's claiming 18 hours 41 minutes, sorry. And this one's 21 hours 7 minutes, so there's a pretty good difference between it. So we're probably going to pick the blue one, unless there's something on that green route that you wanted to see, and let it calculate. So now it's got to calculate that route again, even though it already calculated it the first time.
200 feet, turn right on North Ravine Road.
Okay, so it knows even though we're in the campground, it's going to give us directions to get out of a campground, which is actually pretty important. Up here in the top, it gives us our arrival time, and it also has the day and the time, because sometimes you change time zones, so that's kind of important, especially when you're coming into a campground maybe after they're closed. That's actually your arrival time and the time zone that you're getting into. And here's our overview, and you can move it around and actually see the whole route and zoom out on it and kind of just give it a check to see which, if you're going the way that you think you should be going. Okay, so now you saw putting in a simple address of going to a campground in the middle of Texas in the RVND Mcnally. So now we're going to go ahead and let Todd do his on his Garmin and see what the difference is on the routing and how fast it can find the location, the address, and how long it takes to calculate the route.
So on here you can put as many vehicles as you want, so not only can you have a truck in here, but you can have your car, and it's going to route based on that. So let's do the same thing on a Class A. You said how tall was yours?
I put on there 13 foot 2.
13 foot 2 inches. Max width, we'll say 8 foot 6 inches. And length, you said what, 53 foot?
I think it's 56.
56 foot. Weight, you said 22,000 pounds?
22,000.
Alright, so now we have it set, and you actually get to clearly see your dimensions here. So we're going to select that. Over here we have where to, and we have a view map. So what we'll do is we'll go over here, where to. Some points of interest cannot accommodate trucks or buses. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put in the address, 9024. There we go. Here we go. And go. So now you get to actually see your bus.
Please drive to highlighted route.
Okay, I think we're going to have to probably, when we play these back, actually measure them, but I think yours was just, the Garmin I think was slightly faster on that calculation. If we minus out mine doing 2 different routes.
Right.
Yours doesn't have an option to do 2 different routes, but I think after that it did just the 1 route, and I think mine was still just a little bit slower than your Garmin.
Now your bus is the length of, the width of Florida, as you can see.
It's a big bus.
Right? Okay, so there we go. Does have your arrival time. Does have avoid tolls. Add 3 minutes, save 33 miles. Now, of course, I can zoom out. I can zoom in. So if we hit go.
Please drive to highlighted
So it's saying
route.
you're going to get there at 5:05 in the a.m.?
Yep. Arrival time 5:05 a.m.
Now the RVND Mcnally's saying 7:02 a.m. That's interesting. Oh, trip distance. Yeah, same exact. So it must be the same route. 1033.
Right.
So one thing that I know that the RVND Mcnally does, because I've used it for 5 years, when it was a Good Sam's one, and then when it became exclusively RVND Mcnally, it's got a feature in there whereas it's going to take you, let's say, 60 minutes to go someplace, and you can add time to it or subtract time out of it. We usually add time to it because RV time is way slower than car time. So that must be why I got an extra 2 hours on my GPS versus Todd's. I would like to feel your screen to see how sensitive your screen is compared to the RVND Mcnally. Oh, yours is, I'm not barely even touching the screen and it's moving. Whereas the RVND Mcnally, if I do that, nothing's happening. I have to actually press on it. So it's different technology.
Now for me, what I really like about this is
Oh man, there you go. That's the magnetic dock. So you can take it out of the sun when you get to places
Right.
very easily.
Or again, since I'm driving, I can't really navigate or whatnot. If I need to change something, I can just hand it over.
Oh yeah, just hand it over to your co-pilot.
Right.
All right, and you can see all the contacts right there. So that makes contacts on the back of your unit. That's pretty neat.
So it automatically charges from that point as well. I will say, when I'm coming up on a turn, it's neat. The screen will actually cut in half and it'll show me what the exit looks like.
The same thing with this. Does
Yeah.
the same thing. I do like that feature.
Yeah.
And it also tells me when you're coming up on curves. Does yours give you like a curve warning?
No, not well, yes, on curves, like a sharp curve.
Yeah.
It does that, but if I'm coming up on a school zone, it tells me there's a school zone ahead. Of course, it tells me the speed limit's changing. It'll ding, it'll alert me, let me know the speed limit's changing up or down. But it'll also let me know when there's a red light camera.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
So you see the bus. Now if I were to go back and we'll stop that route. Now I can either choose the bus, this size here, my setup, or in a car. Now when you click on the car, it'll actually say that it will not obey the profile restrictions of the car mode. If your vehicle doesn't have Bluetooth capabilities, so you can actually hear a little bit better, instead of looking down at your phone, you can actually set up and pair Bluetooth to this, from the beginning, and what'll take place is, this will be your speaker, this will be your mic, this will be, for whenever a call comes in, you'll Bluetooth here, and now your hand's free.
Wow.
And it's voice activated as well.
Well, that's a pretty good feature because a lot of the older RVs, and when I say older, not even really 5 years ago, they don't have the most up-to-date stereos like they do in cars, where they have all those functions. You have just a basic plain Jane stereo in them. So that'll give you your hands-free option right from the GPS, so you don't have to buy any other, try to connect something to something with some Bluetooth adapter or something. You got it right there built in the GPS. That's pretty neat. So that's all the places that you've already driven to or driven different destinations? Okay.
Anything that I key in, it'll have it for me. It shows and actually documents.
Oh, your total distance, your odometer. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it keep track of your gas mileage?
I don't think so.
Okay. Probably
Because
not
I'd
in a
have to put that
truck.
in
You
there.
don't really care about it. That's one feature that the RVND Mcnally does have over the Garmin. Well, now that is the trucker version, so the RV version might be a little different. But the RVND Mcnally keeps track of your gas mileage and creates a fuel log that you can export into a spreadsheet. And if you've been watching our videos, on our travel days, up in the upper corners, one of the two corners, we'll have our log. It'll tell you how much we spent on gas that day, well, diesel, how many miles we've driven, how much we spent on campgrounds, and I have a total for our trip that day and a running total of the whole trip. So it's pretty good information if you're ever wondering how much does it cost to drive across the whole country. You can keep track. I'm going to show you inside our GPS where that's located. Okay, so now this is how you're going to do it on the RVND Mcnally. As you're going along on your trip, you hit your miles per hour. It has your miles per hour, it has your elevation, sunrise, sunset, current leg of your current trip. I deleted the trip. This is the odometer, and that should match whatever you set it for in your RV. And then I have 3 different things over here for accumulated stuff. This one here resets after 10 hours, and you can change that. This has got your total hours driven, your average speed, and it has max speed and average moving speed and time stopped. And then number 2 is set for 30 hours, and number 3 is set to never clear it out. And then this GPS we started using right before the Epic RV trip from last year, so it's up to 6374 on just this GPS. So then when you're in here, when you want to add fuel, you hit add fuel, and then it pulls out, it knows where you're at, and if you're actually at a station, it'll fill in the information. And then what you do is you enter in, it'll know your current odometer, so you enter in your total cost of your fuel quality, and then it'll know the fuel price, or you'll enter in the quantity of your fuel and then the price, and it'll know the total cost. So it'll calculate one of the ones that's missing, and you hit save, and it puts it into a fuel log, which you come back to the beginning, and we go into RV tools, maintenance, and fuel, and then here's our fuel logs. You can see there's nothing been happening there because we just got this GPS right before we took our trip in October. And in October to December, fourth quarter of last year, we spent $2,700 on diesel, and it was 106 gallons that we used. So that's pretty neat.
So now to review the Garmin, some likes and dislikes. So some of the likes, you know, for what I like about this is, like I said, it's real simple to click on, click off. You know,
Yeah.
Definitely like that. Now, so the one thing in comparison to the Rand Mcnally, it had far more options for waypoints. Now, granted, this is not the RV version, so I can't really compare apples to apples. You know, for us, if I have a co-pilot, they're going to be looking up on their own device, usually like their phone or something like that. So we're actually able to use this one, and you can get these at, you know, all the truck stops along the way.
That's a good point that Todd makes, is being able to pull this thing right off the mount, because in order for me to get mine out of the cradle that grabs it, I have to unplug my USB, whereas Todd, you don't have to, do you?
Nope. And it's magnetized, so it actually even finds it for you. You just snap it on, snap it off.
And it makes all the contacts, and all the contacts are for the power and the charging and everything.
Yep.
So that's definitely a plus for the Garmin. The one thing that I do like about the Rand Mcnally is that when I'm calculating, it gives me an option to do 2 routes, and I can base it on tolls or non-tolls. And if you're driving an RV, towing anything, you're definitely going to choose the non-toll version, because you try to stay off all toll roads because it's just the sheer price per axle with the extra axles that you're towing. So it gives you that option, or it gives you an option to tow via just your preferences. So if your preferences are to stay off of dirt roads, to stay off of back roads, it keeps all those preferences in line and gives you 2 different options of a route. So I think that's pretty good. You got to watch it though. If you get out in the Midwest, it'll give you one route that's a direct route, and the other route, there might not be any other route to go except for a crazy 500,000 mile out of the way route. So you got to be careful with that.
Another plus on this one is, you know, just like with our truck, we're not always going to be connected to our rig. And so these routes allow you to choose as many vehicles as you want. So right now I set it up with my rig on the back. I can set it up for a car, or let's say, you know, we have a Class A. So on mine, it's just as simple as it'll actually give me a total different route. If I click on the car version, let me back up here. You'll see the warning, and it says that on the warning that, of course, it's not going to reroute you based on any dimensions. It's just going to give you the quickest route. So it's kind of a reminder, you know, that way if you don't, you know, if you inadvertently hit that, there's a reminder saying, hey, wait a minute, did you choose the right button? So that's a plus, that I can have multiple vehicle settings in here.
Okay, now the Rand Mcnally also has it in the menu where you can choose what vehicle type you want. It does, vehicle type is either RV or a car. Now I'll let you see that right there. So RV or car, it's not as good as the Garmin in my opinion, because the Garmin has more options for more vehicles. Not sure why you would need them, but it does have it in there. You can have, what, 3 or more?
Yep. Well, like I said, you know, and for me, it's if my truck is attached to my rig or if it's not. So if I'm towing,
Right.
it's 2 different things. Wineries and breweries.
Hey, we might be able to use that.
Want you to look right here. Oh. Look. The Garmin wins.
The one thing that I do like about this GPS, now this came from, originally the first one was a Good Sam's Club GPS that was powered by Rand Mcnally, and they no longer make those, so it's just straight up Rand Mcnally. Now, we're Good Sam's Club members, so what we ended up doing is, if you go on Good Sam's website, they have the trip planner built into the website, and I can lay my whole route out all the way across the US and all the way back, and it has all the destinations, and then you can turn on like points of interest along your route, and then you can take your route and expand it from 1 mile up to 30 miles. So let's say you're driving down I-10 and you want to stay as close to the interstate for campgrounds as possible, or something to do, or something to eat. You got it at 1 mile, so you're not going off in the middle of nowhere wasting all your time, and then it'll find it, and you can add that to your trip right on your computer. And then once you get your whole trip all figured out, you can take that whole trip and upload it to the GPS. Instead of having to enter everything in on the GPS individually, it'll do the whole route and everything's already in there. The only problem is I went to go update this unit today to make sure it was up to date, and I went on there to go ahead and put in the route from last year's trip, the Epic RV trip across the US, so I can go through and see some of the stuff and how it picked the route. The problem is I didn't find anything on there, any place to be able to upload into the unit. And I don't know why that they decided to remove that, or if they're just temporarily moving some stuff around on the website and it's going to come back and it's just not back yet. But that's a really good feature that they had at this point here. It's what, May 20th? They don't have it right now. The other thing you got to remember about using an RV specific or a semi-truck specific GPS is you're not relying on your data. These don't lose their data as long as they got a clear view of the sky.
Yeah, these are all GPS minded, so once you download and update, that's all you have to do. Now, I will say the one thing on this one, because it is, you know, whenever you update it, if there is any type of road work, if they made any detours, this may not find the detours. Twice we came up and it was telling us to go straight, and clearly there was a detour, so we just followed the detour. And that's just I guess that's the one drawback to, you know, an old school GPS, is it doesn't have up to the second data, whereas, you know, Google Maps might have that, you know, reroute you for the detour.
Yeah, a little bit sooner. So you got to remember there's a delay. I don't know how they get their information, but apparently it's only updated a few times a year from the updates that I get in mine. I only get about 3 updates a year. So if something happens in, let's say, that 4-month period or whatnot, 5 months, you know, you're not going to know about it until the next update.
Yeah.
So again, I hope you found this informative, help you make a decision on which type of GPS. They both have different features that are better or worse, depending upon how you look at them. So I hope you can make a logical decision off of what we told you, to make a decision on which one you want to buy that works best for you.
This one.
So anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And I want to just say something to all my subscribers. I want to tell you thank you. We appreciate everybody that's subscribed so far, and we look forward to making these videos. And I think we're going to make some more of these how-to review videos along with our travel videos. So stay tuned for more.
Hey, right here. Click that button right there. You see that bell? Click that bell for it.
There you go. LMT-S.
You'll have to do this again.
What happened?
I was behind you. Goofing off.
So again, I hope you found this informative and what GPS that you have.
The one thing in comparison, you know, to what's this brand over here again? Hi, this is Chris from. Wait a minute. Am I on the wrong channel?
What? Haven't you ever seen anybody with a beard?
Am I on the wrong channel again?
RVND7, and then the Garmin